Nicolas Maduro was not kidnapped by Donald Trump. He was, what was it?
He was
You need to speak loud and into the mic.
abducted.
Okay, the BBC don't want you to say he was kidnapped. He was abducted. Captured?
Captured.
First of all, thank you all for coming on this freezing cold night. But it's very important for us all to go on the streets and show our solidarity.
Do you know who this is?
Keir Starmer. No, I'm joking. This is Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes, Piers Corbyn.
Oh, Piers Jones.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Okay.
One of the two.
They all
The
the same.
people of Venezuela and indeed all those countries in Latin America that are currently under threat from the US and its new strategy, its new strategic initiative. If any of you had a brief moment over Christmas, as I did, and read the whole of the US security statement from the end of November, it makes pretty grim reading. What it says is the United States is the greatest country in the world and it has the right to take raw materials from any place it wishes and it has the right to challenge any government anywhere in the Western Hemisphere that harbours what they euphemistically call foreign influences. That was it, and then only a matter of days later they sent in the USS Gerald Ford, they sent in thousands of troops, they sent in lots of planes, and they started bombing fishing vessels off the coast of Venezuela and continuing that threat. And then we all saw what happened over the last couple of days, where they landed in Caracas, arrested the president, and have now taken him to a court case in New York. That is a violation of every single aspect of the UN General Assembly, the UN Charter, Security Council resolutions, the International Court of Justice, and every other aspect of international law. Donald Trump is not interested in international law, he's only interested in power, and as he said, he wants to make Venezuela available for US oil companies to exploit its massive oil reserves. What this is really about is a US grab of the natural resources of Latin America. So it's our job to stand in solidarity with the people of Latin America who are opposed to all this, who want to be able to conduct their own affairs. The people of Cuba, who are at the moment very frightened of what might happen there next. The people of Colombia that are also under threat. All the other countries in the world that are in danger because of this. And so the international condemnation needs to be loud, needs to be big, and needs to be strong. But it also needs to be loud and big and very strong within the United States itself. So let's send a message to those people that were on the march yesterday in New York, in Washington, San Francisco and other places. Well done. Keep on the streets, keep on demanding that Trump ends this threat to the people of Latin America, ends the attack and threat to so much of the world. I want to live like you in a world of peace. I want to live in a world where one country doesn't invade another to steal its resources. We do that by our political power. We do that by our voices. Let's not allow ourselves to be diminished and divided, but above all, empowered and strengthened by the solidarity of people around the world to protect them from this overwhelming power of the US military. Join with those that want peace around the world, in every country of the world, to stop this US aggression against the poorest people in the poorest countries of the world. Let's build that world of peace. You can't do it with weapons. You do it with people, you do it with power, and you do it above all with mobilisation. Thank you very much.
That was Jeremy Corbyn, and that was from this evening, very much mentioning Latin America. His wife is from Latin America. Do you know which country?
No, I actually don't. Does it matter?
Well, I think she's from Mexico. Do you know which countries include Latin America?
No. Cuba?
Yes.
Mexico?
You're very good.
What else?
Anywhere where they speak Spanish. And I think Brazil. Are we including Brazil in Latin America?
Brazil is part of it. I don't think so.
Why not?
I'm not sure. I think Brazil is just separate entity.
Well, Brazil, they speak Portuguese, but are they part of Latin America? In the comments, can you let me know, is Brazil part of Latin America? And can you hear us clearly. How are we doing for sound? We've heard from Jeremy Corbyn. We haven't heard from Keir Starmer yet. Shall we hear from him? Here he is.
No, I haven't. It's obviously a fast-moving situation, and we need to establish all the facts. What I can say is that the UK was not involved in any way in this operation, and as you'd expect, we're focusing on British nationals in Venezuela and working very closely with our embassy, and so I will want to talk to the President, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment, I think we need to establish the facts. I think President Trump is doing a press conference later, so hopefully more information will come out there.
What is clear, though, which the White House has said, is that America carried out strikes on Venezuela and captured their leader, Maduro. Some politicians in this country have already condemned that. Do you?
Well, I want to establish the facts first. I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know, I always say and believe we should all uphold international law. But I think at this stage, fast-moving situation, let's establish the facts and take it from there.
And just lastly, for people who might have family, there are a small number of Brits in Venezuela. There are some there. It might be a small number, but of course people will be very concerned. What would their advice be?
Yeah, there's about 500 there in Venezuela, and we're working with the embassy to make sure that they are well looked after, safeguarded, and get appropriate advice. So we're working at pace with the embassy on that. It is a small number, but it's an important number. It is about 500, so that's what we're doing there.
So if it was all about international law, why couldn't Netanyahu get arrested? Why didn't anyone step in and arrest him when he was flying in European airspace?
Well, we know why Netanyahu was not arrested.
Why not?
Because no one is following international law. And Maduro is against Netanyahu. He said a lot of things against Israel, and he was proudly supporting the Palestinian cause. So, do you think that's also one of the reasons of taking him out of power?
It could be. There's a video from 2009 where some people are plotting the downfall of Venezuela, and it's for that reason. Let's hear someone from the right. So we've had Corbyn, who's sort of far left, much further left than Starmer. Starmer is meant to be Labour Party, meant to be on the left. Couldn't really get a clear answer out of him. Here comes Ben Habib, who I think joined Reform, so far right. Well, not far right, but in terms of UK politics.
Later today, President Maduro and his wife will be arraigned in a US federal court under US federal charges. Let me repeat that. They are to be arraigned in a US federal court under US federal charges. This is entirely in keeping with the American Constitution, and nor would it be extraordinary for the United States to seek extraterritorially to enforce its domestic law. It has done so in the past against drug traffickers, and I imagine it will do so again in the future. Yet, the minute Maduro and his wife were on their way back to the United States, the usual suspects in Europe were up in arms about the so-called international order being breached. In other words, in the pursuit of this international order, adhering to international law, these people would rather have a drug trafficking criminal in charge of a country like Venezuela, damaging not only the interests of Venezuela, but of course damaging the interests clearly of the United States and the rest of us, quite frankly. And we know in the United Kingdom how damaging also this international order has been for us. We can't enforce our borders, we can't even get Brexit done because of this so-called international order. Let me be utterly clear. The international rules-based system, as the EU so often wishes to refer to it as, is fundamentally set against national identity, national democracies, and national interest. So I am delighted to see President Trump firmly yanking back at that pendulum and making it clear to the world that in accordance with the American Constitution and the interests of the American people, He is going to put his country first and bring this criminal and his criminal wife to justice. We should be applauding this move back towards national interest, not denouncing it.
So he doesn't think you should follow international law because, so what? It sounds like international law is overrated, but he wants to bring in the drug dealer. Or what's wrong with taking drugs?
Okay, another question, but maybe related to drugs.
Okay. Which is your favorite?
If you were a president in Japan, let's say, and you were a drug dealer, can you, as someone else from another country, a president from, like Trump for now, just decide to go to Japan and arrest their president because he's a drug dealer?
No, not according to international law.
I mean, Netanyahu, he is not just a drug dealer.
Well, but Netanyahu flew. He was in European airspace.
Exactly.
And there were countries that did threaten to arrest him, and I think he avoided their airspace. Scripto in the chat is saying, "Don't blame me." Why would we blame you, Scripto? Are you a drug dealer? Are you American? Yeah, I don't know, but is this really all about drugs? I don't think so.
There were so many people against George Galloway when he was talking in favor of Maduro, and obviously showing objections about everything that happened, just the usual, and saying most of the people are saying that George Galloway is on the wrong side this time. He doesn't know, and Maduro should have been removed from power.
George Galloway knows how it feels to get arrested with your wife.
That's true.
Maybe that's why he's sympathetic. Look, Maduro is the successor of the great Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez turned things around for Venezuela and was a great, strong leader of the left, of the Bolivarian socialism. And no one could fill his boots. And I'm sure even George Galloway will say that. But he's a continuation. It's a bit like when Mahmoud Abbas inherited the seat from Yasser Arafat. You're never going to be a Yasser Arafat. And I'm not saying either one of them is perfect, but if you're on the same team, and that's the team that you supported, the team that meant to stand up to Western imperialism, you're going to be rooting for that side, whether they are perfect or not. Let's get another clip from the left. Here's a left-wing response, and we're on LBC.
Keir Starmer and his government's non-response is shameful, pathetic and embarrassing. How can you say that we don't have an opinion, and it doesn't matter one way or the other, about an incredible breach of international law, the kidnapping of a sitting president while he sleeps in bed, and an announcement boldly that this is about taking over the oil, that US oil companies are going to, quote, take tremendous wealth out of the ground, and that the US is going to, quote, run Venezuela. I mean, this is an enormous world event and plainly an incredible breach of the UN Charter, which should be roundly condemned, and it shouldn't be difficult to condemn. But unfortunately, it's not just Keir Starmer and this government, but successive governments have been no more than a soft puppet for US-American foreign policy. What the State Department decides, we do. This action makes that sort of thing, which is basically highway robbery, it is the action of a bully, more likely. Now, this is the long-standing policy of the United States. Administration after administration has gone around the world removing governments, putting enormous pressure on publics, denying the sovereignty of other nations. But now Donald Trump just does it so plainly. He goes out and says it. It's the Don Road Doctrine. This is the doctrine of a gangster.
Okay, he's pleading not guilty. We've got an update. Maduro has pleaded not guilty, so he's already in the court.
He is. This is live and just 4 minutes away. And he tells US courts, I am still president. How dare you? No, this is me saying.
That reminds me of Saddam Hussein.
That's correct. Yeah, the really history repeats itself.
And they've drawn pictures of him. I thought in the US you were allowed to film in court, and this idea of drawing pictures of the people who are the defendants in court was very much a British thing because you were not allowed to have a camera in the court. But there you go. All right, so Nicolas Maduro, born in 1962. What can we find out about his? I'm always curious about who these people were when they grew up in a working class family. And his father was a prominent trade union leader and a militant dreamer of the Movimiento Electoral de Pueblo. Oh, wow. And his mother was born in Cucuta, a Colombian city on the border of Venezuela. Okay, so his mum's from Colombia, just across the border. But very much into South American unity. He was raised Catholic. In 2012, it was reported that he was a follower of the Indian Hindu guru Sai Baba and previously visited a guru in India. In a 2013 interview, Maduro stated that his grandparents were Jewish from a Sephardic Moorish background and converted to Catholicism in Venezuela. Wow. So a lot of the people that left the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portuguese, would have been Portuguese and Spanish Jews. He's saying that his grandparents were Jewish. That's interesting. That would, if true, entitle him to Israeli citizenship and an Israeli passport. But he's a very harsh critic of Israel. Goodness, I wonder why he ended up being a follower of Sai Baba. It sounds like he's a bit of a man of the world. If he's been raised Catholic, open-minded towards Hinduism, Jewish grandparents, possibly, he's been married twice, and he married Sila Flores, a lawyer, in 2013. He's a colourful character. And Hugo Chavez is, do you remember this gentleman?
He looks Egyptian.
Well, he is of a very mixed background as well, including native, indigenous blood. This is Hugo Chavez, the predecessor, born in 1954. His paternal grandmother was... the Chavez family were of Amerindian, Afro-Venezuelan, Spanish and Italian descent. So Amerindian are the native indigenous people from South America. So South America very much a melting pot from the Spanish conquerors that went there and mixed in with the local native inhabitants, and also African slaves brought via the transatlantic slave trade. So you will end up with people with a very much a mixed background, and that's interesting that Maduro has Sephardic grandparents. Countries like Argentina, I think the society is majority descended from just pure European Spanish blood, and even some Italian, and there's even some German people went to live in Argentina shortly after the 1940s. Not sure why, but then you got somewhere like Brazil, Portuguese, and I think a lot more African ancestry and a lot more native mix. And I think Colombia, I can't remember which country has the most native ancestry. But like in America, in the USA, you've got pockets of so-called Native Americans that sort of still live in their communities. There's not as much. It doesn't seem to be there was as much mixing going on. So people in South America have a lot more of a mixed heritage. Maybe that's why socialism appealed to them more, and they wanted to unite and overthrow the imperial powers that were conquering them. The type of socialism that they adhere to, Chavez and his successor Maduro, is called Bolivarianism. It's a political ideology centered on the ideals of the South American liberator Simon Bolivar, emphasizing nationalism, anti-imperialism, popular democracy, and economic independence, popularized by Venezuela's Hugo Chavez. So this is a different type of socialism. I'd love to speak to Heiko Ku about this because he is a socialist, but he's famous for which tour does he do?
I forgot what it's called.
The standing tour.
Yeah.
The Karl Marx standing tour, where you will have to do a lot of walking and a lot of standing. But Bolivarianism it's not Marxism. They're a different type of socialist.
Never heard of them before. I want to ask you a little bit about your opinion in terms of language use, since I'm interested in language, as you know. In the news, especially BBC.
Fake news.
I mean, so is our other Arabic channels like Al Jazeera and so on. They were instructed not to use the word kidnapped, yeah? And they were instructed to use the word captured instead. As a teacher, if you teach children language, do you also tell them in a situation like this, do you listen to the manager? do you listen to the
Well, is it because the word kidnapped is insensitive because it makes you think of children getting captured? Is that why they don't want to say it?
Well, they were
Is
told,
it inappropriate?
look, the majority has criticized BBC for changing the language and using the word captured instead, as if he has done something and he was captured for it. So he is faulty of something. He's done something wrong. But if you say kidnapped, then, you've took someone out of their lands, as exactly what happened here. But they cannot say so on a TV channel, on the news. So,
But and do you think is that because they're trying to make Trump look better or make him look worse or what?
I think these are orders, isn't it? Like they will be ordered to say so. And of course, yeah, I mean, Keir Starmer is in line with Trump, whether he say it out loud or not. He did not object what Trump did. But he says, I am with the international law.
Keir Starmer is so weaselly and lacking in a backbone. He always finds himself in these positions because he'll say something in the past and then have to kind of go again. I can't. You have to go against what he said. He'll criticize Russia for doing something and not criticize Israel for doing the same thing. He'll criticize Donald Trump before the election and then he'll be friendly with him when he visits after the election. So Keir Starmer has done a lot of flip-flopping. But no one, like, I'm very critical of the BBC. And it seems like, again, everyone is. Well, even during the whole, and it's ongoing, what's happened in Gaza, both sides were critical of the BBC.
That's correct. And was more on point of saying more truth to what was happening. And Channel 4, I think. Probably Channel 4, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much the government has a say on it or not.
Bob Weir is saying, are they all mates? Are they maybe secretly? I did see a video of, wow, was it Nigel Farage crossing the parliament to go and chat to Keir Starmer, and he was very friendly. Maybe secretly they are all great friends with each other. Mohammed Omar is saying, be fair guys, he has to not condemn Trump because he don't want to cause a beef with Jew as I mean USA. Mohammed Omar's been drinking tonight, or I need my glasses, one of the two. Omar, if you want to tell us anything on air, you're free to use the number or send a voice note and we'll just listen. No one sent a voice note yet. I want to encourage anyone to send a voice note to WhatsApp and we'll play it out loud.
I almost feel like what happened in Venezuela, like an AI video clip. It's not.
I've been watching a lot of those.
I feel like I can't believe. In Arabic we say waqaha, the audacity.
Okay, of Trump to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But the truth is, go back a few months and remember what the Palestinian people used to say. That if you allow this to happen on the land of Palestine, you will see it happening everywhere else. So, if those maybe at the time people thought Palestine is far away, it's not where we are, it's not where we live, nothing to do with us. But the fact that international law is not applied somewhere in this world, it will transfer and it will go somewhere else. So,
will it be Greenland next?
I think so. Why not?
It's interesting. I follow a lot of the politics in the Middle East. I often mention the conversation that General Wesley Clark had when he revealed that the US wanted to invade 7 countries in 5 years, and I can't remember all of them, but one of them was Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Iraq, and a couple of others. And I think North Korea got mentioned in that conversation. But Greenland. What if Greenland gets invaded? Do we not believe this will happen because this is in the northern hemisphere, this is in Europe, this is close to home? Do you know which country actually owns Greenland? It's not an independent nation. It comes under Denmark. So the Danes have the autonomy of Denmark. So it would be an encroachment on their land. But there are, I think, indigenous people that live in Greenland. Bobby Ver is saying Iran may be first. Yeah, I think Iran is in the crosshairs. And again, it's the perspective we have about Middle Eastern countries, or Western Asia, as you meant to say now, versus how we look at European countries and the West, first world countries. I can't imagine any people in Greenland getting killed if Donald Trump takes over Greenland. There were already 40 plus Venezuelans killed the other day. Countless Iranians will lose their life if Trump decides to topple Ayatollah Khamenei. Taiwan, China has eyes on. So, yeah, China has eyes on Taiwan. The Chinese would say that Taiwan is part of China. but it's our ally in the region, isn't it? Taiwan. What did they have to call it in the Olympics? Taipei. Chinese Taipei. I think that's what they call Taiwan. But all these strategic outposts, Taiwan, Hong Kong, it's all the Western powers vying for each other. Yemen, Aden is a very strategic position. If you have the misfortune or fortune of living in a part of the world that's very important for resources or is very rich in the land, you'll end up being very poor because people will come and steal your stuff. HK Stocks is saying once the Project M Bridge gets going, the new interbank payment system based on yen or gold and local currencies, it will finish the US and the global reason.
Talking about what, Venezuela?
Because the people that first went there from Europe thought that it reminded them of Venice or Little Venice in London, near where Paddington Bear lives. But it's very rich. It's very rich in oil. But George Galloway was saying that the oil there is not good quality. It's too thick.
I mean, who cares if you have the machines?
Guess so.
I think Trump, he is a businessman after all. He's there after money. So clearly he knows that he needs a lot of money, with the money that he got recently from Saudi and Qatar was not enough. So now he's in Venezuela going illegally and trying to accuse another president as a drug dealer. I still can't believe what I hear and what I watch. It's like a comedy show, honestly.
And the minute he got the FIFA Football Award for Peace, he started overthrowing other countries. All right, ladies and gents, it's been Lessons for Life, and we'll try and do another one tomorrow night. I don't know how many I can do in a row, but I've been really enjoying these chats that we had, and we'll do it all again soon. We were here, or we are gone. Oh wait, Bobby Vera is saying, ever heard of the Heavenly Jerusalem Project? I will have to look it up. Heavenly Jerusalem Project. That is my homework. Thank you and good night. Oh, good night.